Okay, well, you're taller. You have the high ground. That's how Obi-Wan beat Anakin, right?
Star Wars and Cobra Kai are both very established. Star Wars is an established universe. Cobra Kai is an established world, and they're both very intricate. There's a lot going on. So when it comes down to it, Cobra Kai, they're keeping track of a lot of characters. In fact, they're keeping track of a lot of characters, a lot of history, a lot of fighting styles. There's all these kinds of things they're keeping track of. And then when it comes to Star Wars, well, yeah, you could argue the same kind of thing. Keeping track of different practitioners of the Force, whether it's Jedi or Sith. And there's just a lot to the world. In the case of Star Wars, it's a universe. And that's why it's so important to take that lesson from Cobra Kai that they do so well, is they treat it like that, like the entire universe is. The writers, the creators, they love the universe of Cobra Kai. And it's really the Karate Kid universe, right? Cobra Kai creates thrills. It really brings it home, like I was talking about. And you get those satisfying types of moments, but then you also get where, you know, it's up and there's something exciting and you can't wait for the tournament to happen, and it's, you know, it's all on the line, right? So it really brings you into it, and there's these thrills, there's these kind of moments that are really funny that you don't expect somebody to say what just got said, and it's like, okay, that was, you know, really politically incorrect. What? The way they all put that together and the way they kind of were able to bring things from the 80s and kind of transplant it into today, it's something where we can look at it now and we can kind of laugh at how things were, and it's actually insightful at the same time as being funny, and there's a shock value. So all those kind of things, right? So if you bring it back over to Star Wars, well, what is it in Star Wars? Well, there are those thrilling moments. I'm calling it fantasy, but it's also sci-fi too, right? It's just that it's this great blend. And so it blows our minds. We kind of realize, think of the universe in a different way. It has philosophical connotations and all these kinds of things. So it's those funny moments that kind of pull you in. It's that being able to relate to the character, and then just a few steps later, you're kind of spiraling into, you know, another scene, or there's a cool fight scene. That's what happens in Cobra Kai. You relate to the characters, and then suddenly you're spiraling off, and there's roundhouse kicks going on. So I think that if the Acolyte and shows like that can take a leaf out of the book of Cobra Kai, well, hey, it might just revitalize and remind the people who are putting it all together what these little key pieces are that really make it all happen. Because number 4, that little hidden tip I was telling you guys about, is really the great combination of all 3 of those things done together. When that's done together, it creates number 4, which is less is more. If you do the first 3 really well and you find a pace and make that happen, which is a lot of work, but when things are simplified to get those elements happening correctly, other things are kind of pushed aside so that the key things can come together. Well, then that's when the 4th dimension can come into play. That other part that is the little twist, the little tweak, the little thing you didn't expect, the little phrase, the way that they said something that just opens up a whole philosophical discussion when it comes to Star Wars. And it's those things all conspiring together that kind of unlocks that 4th one, that less is more. Because once you get it working with less, you don't have to have a bunch of extra fighting sometimes just to make up for the fact that the audience might be getting bored. You don't have to kind of change the dynamic between the characters just to shock people, to keep them going so that they are kind of wondering what's going to happen next. There's more to it, and that I think is what Cobra Kai gets so well, is they kind of pull at the strings, the emotional strings. They understand these things where you've got to sometimes change the expectation. There's, you know, these devices they use with writing that are some of the tried and true devices, but at the same time, they're deeper than just those things. The story, and that's really what it's all about. The story is deeper than that. Storytelling. It's deeper than just the devices that it employs. And even though there may be certain things in storytelling that are really strong, that people are trained, you got to make sure that people, you know, that something happens and there's some emotional change here, and there's certain things that we learn, but when it comes down to it, the story contains all those things. And those may be the main features of that story. But it's when it all comes together that the 3 dimensions becomes the 4 dimensions. It's when it all comes together that not just the dimension of the story, but the dimension of the viewer comes in to play. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Let's only hope there's a Jedi there to receive it.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.